Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have no presentations on the agenda for this evening, so we will go to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak during public comment? Okay. Pete, feel free to come on up.
Thank you. Pete Ballas here. Here tonight, first time that I've been here in a while, so it's quite a privilege for me to come and speak to this elite group. Tonight I am here to share with the town council, you, Mayor, the honorees for the Mount Airy Historical Society's 2024 honorees. A very diverse group, I must say. And in no particular order, we're going to start with this gentleman. Former mayor of the town, Mr. Paul Beal, is the first honoree. Second honoree is Dr. Paul Burkett. The third honoree is Margie Davis. The fourth honoree is Mr. Carl Dixon. And the fifth honoree is Mr. Robert, better known as Bobby to us guys that were here with Bobby Lohman. I think this is a very good class of people. It's a cross-reference of our town. I would ask everybody that's listening to please write down this date. The banquet which we present the honorees, their plaques, certificates, etc., is going to be March the 19th, 2024 at the Mount Airy American Legion. Starting time of that's going to be at 5 o'clock. Now, tickets for the banquet are going to be on sale. As a matter of fact, they're on sale right now. You folks are the first folks to know. So, you can go over to the Blossom and Basket Boutique and get your tickets. Tickets are a mere $30, the same as last year. I would like to see all the town council, and I know the mayor will be there because the mayor is a historical figure, but I'd like to see all the town council there this year to be there at the banquet. I think it would be really, really good if they could show up, if you folks would come out. We would appreciate. Last year I got to sit beside Councilman Munder, so I know he comes. So if the rest of you could come, I appreciate. Aside from that, I'm on the Sanitation and Recycling Commission. Something that I like to share with the residents of the town, which really bothers me personally, is I see a lot of plastic bags in the recycling. And as we all know, plastic bags are not to be in the recycling. Plastic bags need to go back to the grocery store or in the boxes which are provided. What happens is too many plastic bags pollutes the load of the recycling. So I'd ask the residents of Mount Airy to check that list again. It is on the website of what you can recycle. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Mansfield, did you want to?
Good evening, everybody. Today, I would like to have for you a comment, a question, and a recommendation. And this concerns the letter that Mr. Barney Quinn wrote to ask for or to request more water allocation to be given to the town from well number 9. And so I'd like to read my, like to read from the background section of the letter and just the first couple sentences. The town has seen a steady amount of growth in its water demand for the past 9 years, some of which is from the Brittany Manor development, miscellaneous new houses, redevelopment, and new commercial and industrial projects, going from 624,000 gallons per day in 2014 to 703 gallons per day average in 2022. And so here's the question. So does any of this water from this request have a chance of being allocated to the Beck project? So that's the question. Is that a question that you can answer?
Public comment right now will just be public comment.
Okay,
We can.
all right. Well, I hope that the answer to that question is no. And so part of the rationale for that is I have in my hands here something that you probably have already seen, but it's the Beck Property APFO screening assessment that the developer of the Beck project put together last year. And if you're taking notes, you can look at page 3 under water supply, and it says the developers of the Beck property always assume there would be no water allocation from the existing municipal water supply, and additional water resources would need to be developed by the Beck development team. All right? So that's why a good answer would be no, none of this water that we're talking about in Barney's request would go actually to the Beck project. So my recommendation, for clarity's sake, is after that sentence that I read to you from Barney's letter, where it says 703,000 gallons per day average in 2022, right after that sentence, I would recommend that you add here, just for clarification's sake, this sentence: no allocation of water is required for the Beck development project, as additional wells will be provided by the developer to meet the water needs of the Beck project. And I think that would alleviate some questions anyway that a lot of citizens might have about this particular request. So I hope you would consider that. If you need that particular question, that statement that I just read.
I'll take it.
Okay.
And thank you for your comments, Charlie.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience for public comment? Mr. Voss, how are you?
Fine. Thank you again, Dan Voss. I appreciate the comments about future water use, but what I would like to talk about is past use. I spent a whopping $9 to join the archive for the Baltimore Sun. Reading a whole bunch on the internet today, noticed that historically Carroll County and Mount Airy have had problems with water. If there's been historically a problem with water, I think there will be a future problem with water, so they tie in together. There is currently the, drought.gov. I can't remember exactly the acronym of the agency, the two agencies that provide that. One of them is NOAA, but that particular website indicates that we are in the 7th worst year for drought in this county and Mount Airy, and the 55th worst November 2023 on record, in 129 years, if I recall correctly. Historically, we've had a problem with water. I believe that is going to be an issue in the future. I think it's something that we need to be concerned about, and certainly anything that any of the studies go on, I think they need to have an understanding of worst case scenarios and put that into plan versus what a best case scenario would be.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Hearing none, we will move on to the approval of council meeting minutes and closed minutes. We will need a motion to approve the December 2023 town council meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second? I will second. Any
I
discussion?
didn't know what to do with Carl motioning. He's usually second. It threw me off. I'm awake now.
Hearing no discussion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then we have our December 2023 closed meeting minutes for the purpose and matters directly related to land acquisition. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And our final closed meeting for December 2023, personnel matter related to the Mount Airy Police Department. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We will now move to the Civil Air Patrol report. We have Major Rolfe here. How are you, sir?
Good evening.
Good.
And Happy New Year.
You as well.
This is our report for December 2023. Under mission and significant activities, the squadron's Cyber Patriot team competed in the state round of the competition. I wish I had better news to report after that, but it's an achievement to make it to that level. And our Growing Beyond Earth team conducted some additional training and project development as they continue to innovate a space-based plant growth and harvesting system. So this is a continuation of a project and competition that our cadets have been involved in for a couple years now. Community support, we executed our first quarterly roadside cleanup for our adopted road, which is South Main Street. We had several members assist the Marine Corps League in picking up the Toys for Tots donations throughout the town. And we provided color guard support and also placed the wreaths at the Wreaths Across America ceremony at Pine Grove Cemetery. For qualifications and achievements, one of our members has completed all technical tasks for mission pilot for the small unmanned aircraft systems, or the drones. And that individual just needs to basically get a few more hours of pilot time in and a check ride to be fully qualified for that. We provided some train-the-trainer support to another local squadron so they can use the land navigation course that has been established at the Isaac Walton League, so that's being used more widely than just our squadron. We had 4 cadets complete their first orientation flights. December was a slow month for growth, so nobody joined. And I just want to report that not only is our squadron ground team fully mission capable, but we have multiple individuals now fully qualified and able to assist in small unmanned aerial aircraft system missions if necessary. On the horizon, the squadron is scheduled to perform its annual support to the Warfield Air National Guard kitchen duty, which we actually did yesterday. And we have a continuing support to the Parkland Cadet Squadron, which I briefed here before, Montgomery County School based squadron. So we're continuing to provide support there. And we have our biannual unit inspection in February, so we're getting ready for that event. Pending your questions, that's my report for this evening.
Any questions for Major Rolfe?
Just to thank you for all you do.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, well, Happy New Year, and thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Appreciate it.
All right, it looks like we have a representative from the Mount Airy Volunteer Fire Company as well. Glad to have you guys back.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Matthew Hurd. I'm the second vice president at Mount Airy this year. So Happy New Year, everyone, and a pleasure to be here. So the month of December, we actually had, for rescue calls, we had 114 in Carroll, 48 in Frederick, 3 in Howard, 7 in Montgomery, for a total of 172. For fire calls, Carroll, we had 17. Frederick, we had 8. Howard, 4. And Montgomery, 0. I just want to let you know we have a new president this year. Her name's Susan Hubble, and also a new chief, Anthony Russo. So we're excited to be here to support the town, like always. And don't forget about our breakfast on the 21st of this month, starting at 7:30. Hope to see you guys there. Thanks.
Matt, thanks for coming out. It's great to have the fire company back.
Not department.
I don't think Jimmy Litt was an option.
Thank you, Matt. We'll move on to the Mount Airy Police Department report with Chief Ginevra.
Got to move it down for the smaller guys. All right. Happy New Year, everyone. Thanks again for everything that the town's done, and pretty excited to go forward with the new year. So, Chief Ginevra, Mount Airy Police Department, trainings and meetings attended. I attended a meeting at the Public Safety Committee that I'm part of on the Frederick side that we've been re-invited to. I attended a brief meeting with the American Legion Gold Post, 191, where Mr. Rick Dye presented the Mount Airy Police Department with a $100 donation to the community fund for future projects. So that was pretty nice. I got an opportunity to talk to some of the gentlemen there that evening, and again, I was invited later on during the month for Santa Claus that came. So that was pretty interesting. Senior Officer Nicholas Betcher, who some of you folks got to see this evening again for swearing in. He finished his lateral rifle qualifications, and Nicholas also finished his 80 hours of lateral training. Along with that, Corporal Brooks also attended his semi-annual rifle qualifications, and then I conducted one lateral physical agility examination for a candidate for Mount Airy Police Department. Some interviews were conducted later on in the month for the position of lieutenant. We have maybe a couple possible candidates for that position also. Corporal Brooks also completed the LINKS training, which is the Law Enforcement Information Exchange, that resource that we're able to use to develop other information and intel as a gathering tool for law enforcement. For community outreach, we participated in Mount Airy Christmas Parade. That was pretty exciting for me, again, being first car lead. So again, thank you for everyone for that help. So it was pretty nice to be a part of that and getting the crowd to work in with us also. The officers participated in the menorah lighting. It was a good, safe, quality event. Looks like everyone had a good time. Again, with the American Legion Gold Post, 191, again with the Santa Claus. All of the members from the Mount Airy Police Department participated with Pack the Cruiser. That was benefiting the Mount Airy Net. With that in itself, of all of the donations that were given, we also were able to raise $358 cash for that project also. Then we conducted, along with the Maryland State Police, who had the resident trooper program here, with Shop with a Hometown Hero. So that was another nice event for us to participate in with kids. Also, as Captain Rolfe presented itself, the Mount Airy Police Department sponsored with the Mount Airy Civil Air Patrol Reads Across America, where we participated in that with the Reads and also extending for traffic control to make sure everyone safely got across. Another thing that we did for Thanksgiving, we kept the same family that we adopted for that, and we adopted those same families again for Christmas, where all of the Mount Airy Police Department in itself went above and beyond for these families, and we wrapped some gifts to make sure that they had some extra little things underneath the tree for their families. That was participated through the Mount Airy Net, and a special thank you to Food Line, Outlaw Barbecue, Rocco's Market, and again, the Carroll County Community Foundation Center, which funds it. So if anyone would like to donate to that project, it's very helpful. It does really help a lot of the citizens here in the town. Corporal Brooks, along with the Mount Airy Volunteer Fire, if I say it wrong, Matt, please correct me, but the fire company with the Santa Run, so I was again to participate in that, so thank you again for inviting us, Chief Russo, correct? That was very interesting to be a part of in that. This, I'm sure most people have seen this. It's in the pamphlet too. Corporal Brooks with these two lovely ladies. We got a lot of likes through here in itself. With that, yeah, it was really nice to be a part of something again during the holiday season. There's a bunch of other photos in the packet also with the officers, again with Santa, a couple other things that are in there, along with the Reads Across America, and again with the fire company. For overdoses to report, we had 0 opioid overdoses. Some helpful hints, pay attention to your surrounding, folks. Almost everyone has a smartphone. They can be very distracting. Make sure that you guys are locking your cars. We're starting to have an increase again with some car break-ins. Don't leave your car running by itself. Leave your car empty, hide your cell phone. if you're going on some trips and stuff like that, make sure you have some emergency supplies. I know the weather's ever so changing from snow, sleet, ice. It's supposed to rain this upcoming day. So just make sure you have some things. And not only that, let a family and friend member know where you're going to be at. It's being respectful and responsible. Package theft and also some mail theft. For body cam footage that was requested by the state's attorney's office, Ms. Marcy, she completed 13 body cam videos that were processed. And those those are requested from the state's attorney's office for cases. We had an increase of 21.11% for call volume compared to what we had for last year of 502 calls of service. And again, that's not just people dialing 911, but that's also self-initiated from the officers for that call volume in itself. And to wrap up the year in itself there, sorry, I'm trying to flip through my papers. For citations in itself, 556 compared to some of the other time. It doesn't look like there was that much of an increase or decrease. That stayed pretty steady through the past few years. Along with the traffic warnings, 814 were issued. Safety repair orders, 103. DWI arrests were 15. Traffic arrests, 60. And total traffic stops, 791. The call for service for the end of the year in itself for 2023 was 6,359. That's been a decrease from 2020. So again, that's pretty impressive for that decrease in call volume. For criminal arrests, there were 110, and for the Group A crimes, 266. And that has risen because of the group crimes in itself, though it's broken down in different sections. So some things have been modified and changed that obviously those Group A crimes are a little different this time for reporting. In the Group B crimes, there was 61. I don't have anything else, sir. Do you have any questions?
I suspect the council would all jump on board with me in telling you that every time you guys do the Pack the Cruiser event, I mean, it's such a valuable thing that you do for the community, and it really stocks up the Mount Airy net. So we greatly appreciate that on top of all the regular law enforcement that you do. The other thing I greatly appreciate is it sounds like between the Civil Air Patrol, the Mount Airy Volunteer Fire Company, and the police department, there's a lot of coordination going on, and that makes us all very happy. So.
Right. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. So the only other thing I forgot to add too with the Mount Airy net, there were some ladies that dropped off some items that we were doing some bolt bags for domestic violence. So since that had closed, we brought the domestic violence bags to the state's attorney's office that was doing the bolt program. I took those items to the Mount Airy net and donated them there, which happened to be great timing. There happened to be a young lady that came in, and yeah, I mean, it was a wonderful thing. Miss Jamie from the net reached out to me. So it is very helpful. So if anyone has anything they can do to help out the net, that would be great. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, yes, sir.
We will move on to our mayor, council, and staff reports. First up will be Mayor Hushauer.
All right, thank you so much. I'll start by, I know during public comments, we really just listen to the public, and then we get some feedback on stuff. You read some documents that are pretty accurate, so that should put you at ease, but we'll answer formally through an email if you would like your question concerning water and the Beck property, okay? All right, same deal, Dan, for you, but as it's part of my report, I'll just read something out of it. Based on the water level in the town's wells, which is lower than normal in some instances, and the state's drought warning, as mayor, I am extending the currently imposed voluntary water restrictions through January 2024. So please conserve your water within your households and businesses with the utmost diligence. Having said that, we'll have our next Water and Sewer Commission and see where we're at that point. So as for the rest of my report, a PFAS update, current quarterly samples are being taken to evaluate PFAS contamination levels. We are executing the long-range remediation plan. Some of that might get discussed this evening as part of the other things on the agenda. Pumping station number 3, that property has been, I believe I can say it's been deeded to the town. I have signed that paper, so we now have the property that we need for remediation for that one pumping station. The mass mailing went out to all the water customers, as 3,600 customers, businesses, and citizens. That was mailed out in late December, providing updated information to every residence and business on what we have going on. We're trying to be as transparent as possible. I have no joy in alerting people to a problem, but it's really, the problem is not one that we created, it's one we got to solve. So all of us at the table are working hard to correct this situation as quickly as we can, but it's not an easy problem. It's one that's going to take a while, a couple of years, but we're on it and we're doing everything as quickly as possible. The FY 2023 annual audit of the town was completed by the accounting firm Brown, Schultz, Sheridan, and Fritz. And I just want to take a second to read one thing out of it. Again, this is a matter of transparency, and I want to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. This is kind of a summary of the audit, and the final paragraph in it reads as follows. Future revenues will be among the most important topics of discussion for our elected officials in the coming years. Without an increase in revenue, the town will no longer be able to continue to provide the same level of services to the citizens. Planning for the future financial health of the town will be the focus of the mayor and town council. Increasing real estate tax revenues can only be accomplished via 2 means: by increasing the tax rate on existing revenue sources or increasing the tax base from which the revenues are collected, e.g. development of properties. Either method will be beneficial to the fiscal health of the town. So this is something that is written in the audit. It is not written by us, but I felt like that needed to be read. Okay. Continuing with my report. The Mount Airy Senior Task Force Support Group, MASTS, will meet on January 10th at 7 p.m. here in Town Hall. They would like to become a permanent commission focused on creating an age-friendly environment that allows for better quality of life for all and enhancing the ability to age in place here in Mount Airy. Rails to Trails update. The town staff is working on all the accessories such as fencing, benches, signs, pet waste along the posts along the Western Trail. Ribbon cutting is still planned for the spring. On the Eastern Trail by Watkins Park, preparation has begun. On the remaining gravel section of the trail, some shoring is needed in that area. So once that's done, we're going to have a nice trail all the way from behind the rail yard all the way over to Watkins Park. And I haven't walked back there in a week, but it seems like when I don't do that and I go back there, amazing progress has been made. So I can't wait to get back there. Tomorrow evening, January 9th, the Historical Society will meet at 7 p.m. in the lower level of the fire company station. There is a new historical book available for sale at the museum. It's been authored by Larry Valet, who might be out there somewhere. Where'd he go? There he is. Authored by Larry Valet. It's titled The Early History of Mount Airy. I've been going through it, and the pictures are incredible. It's a very high quality production, so I greatly appreciate it. So if you want that book, stop by the museum on Saturday or Sunday, noon to 4, to make that purchase. The annual Box and Bags Bingo is on February 9th at the MAVFC Activities Building on Twin Arch Road. Doors will open at 5:30 p.m. Food will be available for purchase provided by the auxiliary during the event. The cost to play is $30 for 20 games. Prizes include themed boxes loaded with amazing products and Coach Kate Spade and Vera Bradley bags. You can call 301-703-1430 or go online to the Historical Society of Mount Airy.org to reserve your bingo cards. Last note, we had a resident who passed away. Oliver Davis passed away on November 13, 2023. Oliver was a lifelong Mount Airy resident. As a businessman, he owned and worked as an automotive mechanic at Oliver Davis Auto and Truck Repair. For the town of Mount Airy, Oliver served as the administrator to the sanitation department and the planning department. That's back when we had departments. He served as the zoning administrator and was the town council secretary from 1988 through 1994. After serving on the council, Oliver was appointed to the Planning Commission and the Board of Appeals. And I always enjoyed knocking on his door because he was very colorful. So as a candidate, when he met you at the door, you better have something to say because he's not going to waste his time. He'll slam the door on you. So we'll miss Oliver Davis, and I'm sure everybody who knew him greatly misses him. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you. We will now move on to the Recreation and Parks Board, Beautification Commission, and the Flatiron Task Force with Council Secretary Galletti.
Thank you. Wasn't Oliver Davis one of the first people to ride around town in an old Hummer?
Yeah, he worked on big
Yeah.
trucks and big machinery.
He was our mechanic, and he used to have that Hummer back when it wasn't like the thing to do. He had a real Army one. All right, so Parks and Rec, we did not meet in December, so the next meeting will be virtual on Thursday, January 18th. You can request the link to get virtual in the Zoom, but typically you watch it through Facebook Live. And we do watch for comments during the meeting, so January 18th, Thursday. Beautification, no December meeting, happy holidays. A lot of our commissions didn't meet in December. So that next meeting is Tuesday, the 16th, 7 o'clock, Town Hall. And Flatiron Task Force, a lot going on with Flatiron Task Force, some exciting stuff happening, but I'm gonna read a little bit, and then if I have to, I'll call, I think, Larry Valet up. So Flatiron Task Force, since its inception, now has 33 members. It's still going strong. There are 6 subcommittees. Since the mayor appointed that task force, a little bit before that, they've had 10 meetings, and the next meeting is January 22nd, right here at Town Hall at 7 o'clock. A lot of work is going on, a lot of exciting things. December 14th, I'm going to get it right because in case Jake Day is watching. Department of Housing and Community Development for the state of Maryland awarded the task force $150,000. Congratulations to everybody on the task force. What I had hoped you would do and supported you in doing, you're doing, so keep going. And that is to go towards the renovation of the Flatiron building, so that's kind of significant and exciting. And the architect plan should be ready around mid-January to hopefully present to council by maybe the February meeting. And that concludes my report. Did I miss anything for, we are walking through Flatiron tomorrow, but, okay. So things are shaking and moving and happening. Congratulations to the task force for, the Flatiron Task Force for getting it done.
All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to the Planning Commission with Councilmember Evans.
Thank you, Council President. We did not have a meeting in December either, but a couple of things about the master plan workshop. For December 14th, we had a second review of Chapter 5, and we initially reviewed Chapter 6 and decided to send it over to Streets and Roads for their review. Our next master plan workshop is this Thursday, January 11th at 7 p.m. at the Senior Center. We will be reviewing final edits from John on Chapter 4 with hopes to put it into our virtual parking lot. We will do final reviews of Chapter 5 before sending that over to Parks and Recs and the fire company for their review. And as we all know, the joint work session with the Planning Commission regarding the pre-concept sketch plan is scheduled for January 16th at the American Legion between 7 and 10. That concludes my December report.
All right, thank you. Next up, the Streets and Roads Commission and EDC with Councilmember Demoter.
All right, very good, thank you. There was no meeting of the EDC in December. Just a note, in addition to serving as the liaison to the EDC, towards the end of last year and as a focus for 2024, I'll be getting more engaged with the other business-oriented organizations in the town, such as MAMSA and the Greater Mount Airy Chamber of Commerce. I'm doing that for two reasons. One, I have an interest in doing so because it supports what the citizens have told us in the 2020 community survey about revitalizing the downtown area and other areas of town. But also the chair of the EDC asked, he's always mentioned to me, we never have a town council member at any of our other meetings. So I took him up on that, and to support him, I'm getting much more engaged in that. And I think it's important because I want to understand the challenges and opportunities facing Mount Airy from a business perspective. So I'm there to support that effort. Moving to streets and roads, at the request of the Planning Commission, the Streets and Roads Commission members are currently reviewing the transportation component associated with the preparation of the 2023 master plan. Also, I am pleased to report that the town received approval for the town's permit to install a second educational radar speed sign on Main Street. And this sign was installed in December and is now operational. So this is the second educational speed sign that's on Main Street. The first one is on the south end by the Calvary Church as you come into the downtown zone. And now we have one on the north end as you come into the downtown zone. So we have both entrances to the downtown zone covered, and we've gotten a lot of positive responses of that additional signage. And again, just a note to the citizens, in the 2020 community survey, our citizens identified traffic safety on Main Street as the #1 town concern needing urgent and immediate action. So those are just two examples of many things we've done to improve safety, traffic safety on Main Street and other areas of the town. And I want to thank my fellow council members previously and on the current council for all of their support in the budget requests for those signs. Also, I want to thank MAPD and the mayor for his continuous support on that. In December, we met with representatives from MDOT District 7, that's the Maryland Department of Transportation, District 7, to discuss a range of streets and roads issues and potential improvements we can make through our partnership we have with them, and we have established a good partnership through regular meetings over the last 2 years. Topics included concerns about the need for a guardrail along a stretch of Route 27, where there are residential areas near the perimeter of that roadway, improvements to downtown crosswalks, and consultation on proposed development projects and related roadway safety improvements. And then lastly, I want to remind you, the mayor asked me to remind you that when we have snow or like over the weekend, ice, snow, when there's a snow emergency, please try not to park along the roads during a snow emergency because that allows our road crews to get out, be more effective, more efficient, and get the roads treated so it benefits everyone in the town. The next meeting of Streets and Roads will be on January 30th, and that completes my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have the Recycling and Sanitation Commission and Sustainability Commission with Councilmember Munder.
All right, just before I go into my report, I would just like to, tag along to Councilman Demota's thing about the snow route and our town staff. I'd just like to put a shout out to our town public works for spending their weekends here on Saturday to make sure we had drivable and passable roads as it snowed, iced, and rained. So big shout out to them. So as the common thread is here, there was no meeting for sanitation or sustainability held in December. The next sanitation and recycling meeting will be next Wednesday, the 17th at 7 p.m. here in Town Hall. The next sustainability is 2/21 at 7 p.m. in Town Hall. If you are interested in serving on any of one of these two commissions, please reach out to the mayor in Town Hall and throw in your application. Also want to put out there that the Christmas tree pickup is Saturday the 13th, so please have the trees out by curbside probably by 6 a.m. in the morning. And I would like to also echo what citizen Pete Ballas said about the plastic bags and reading what is and is not allowed in the recycling. The better we do the recycling, the more that is actually recycled instead of thrown out at the recycling center. So please read, the information's on the website. So if you have any questions, just call town hall or look on the website. Thank you. And that concludes the report.
All right, thank you. It looks like the Water and Sewer Commission is the only commission that met in December. Although our January 2024 meeting was canceled, so I will have minutes from and reviews from the December meeting. The commission reviewed drought conditions and the town's voluntary water restriction currently in place. Groundwater hydrologic status still remains at the warning level, and the Mount Airy Watkins Park monitoring well registered in the 7th percentile. It was noted that 93% of the time the water table is higher than it is now, which is a sure sign of drought. If December's numbers show no improvement, the commission may consider recommending that the mayor impose some level of mandatory water restriction when the voluntary restriction expires January 31 of 2024. It was noted by Chairman Dick Swanson that the town of Manchester recently declared a code red water emergency and enacted a mandatory water restriction. Chairman Dick Swanson also informed the commission that the town has been awarded the contract for engineering plans for PFAS treatment systems at water stations 1 and 3. The commission is working on determining the available water for development during fiscal years 2024 and 25, which requires biannual approval from the council as stated in the town code, sections 109-19 and section 91. The next Water and Sewer Commission meeting will take place on February 7th, 2024, 7 p.m. here at Town Hall. And that concludes my report. We are on to Town Attorney, Mr. Tom McCarron. Do you have anything, sir?
Other than what we'll talk about in closed session, obviously assisted in preparing the charter amendment proposal that is on the agenda tonight for introduction. Also, as the mayor mentioned, we did close on the portion of Lot 5, Twin Ridge Professional Park, to extend our water service to that portion. There's a little bit of work yet to do post-closing to subdivide it formally, but basically that's done and the property is deeded to the town. Otherwise, provided general advice and as I said before, the matter or matters that may be on the agenda for closed session later. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And we all did receive Town Administrator Report, the Code Enforcement Report, and Zoning Administrator Report, unless you guys have anything to add? Okay, we'll move on to new business. First up in new business is the recommendation of award for Phase 2 of Well 9 increased appropriation. I will relinquish the floor to Town Engineer Barney Quinn.
Thank you. So back in July, we had brought this to you all. Phase 1 was approved to look at the Brinkley bill, to start the Brinkley bill of seeing if we can get available water on our existing well, and that's where they allow you to have more than your normal appropriations for acres, but there's a lot of considerations that have to be done. They look at the entire watershed that well is located in. So they've done all that. They shared that report with MDE. Everything looks favorable. MDE gave the requirements for continuing that Brinkley bill, and so those requirements are part of Phase 2, which we're asking for approval for tonight. I can answer Mr. Mansfield's question. Our justification for having this is because of commercial industrial growth. It has nothing to do with mixed use or other projects, residential growth that's coming in. It's because our commercial and industrial, we're constantly using X amount for redevelopment, new commercial, new industrial. One example of redevelopment is Shiny Shell. You know, they need another 6,000 gallons a day. So that added to, you know, what our allowance or taken away from our demands. So this is not something we have to have tomorrow, but if we did need it in a few years, which we're kind of on that track, it's going to take us a few years to find new wells, find other things. This is a source that we can get that's going to be low cost and easily to obtain. Doesn't give you a boatload of water, but it'll help you get through a few more years. So it just helps extend that out further. As far as where you can use it, it would go into a reserve capacity until we allocate it into our categories, our 13 categories. You all get to decide where that water should be put. So it's not like it can be used by anybody necessarily. So anyhow, this is for phase 2, the amount $65,000. And again, to RK&K and their subconsultant, and the amount $65,000 for phase 2. That's what we're asking for your approval.
Okay, before we go with any questions, let's go ahead and get a motion in a second, and then we'll go into our discussion phase with any follow-up questions with Barney. Do we have a motion
I'll motion for discussion or whatever for this
to approve?
to approve.
Okay. I will second, so now we'll go into our discussion phase. Would anyone like to lead off with any questions? Councilman
Sure,
Demoter,
I'd
please
like
go.
to start. Thank you. So I'm a little confused. The memo says nothing about PFAS, and I thought the whole reason why we started pursuing the Brinkley bill was because we wanted to be able to draw more water from that one well to allow us to have extra water capacity, because that's one of our perhaps better wells in terms of PFAS. Yet the memo says nothing about PFAS. It talks about how we're trying to plan for future commercial growth, that kind of thing. So I think we need to say what we started this for, which was the whole reason we approached the Brinkley bill option is because we have a problem with PFAS and we want more water to pump so that we can optimize the cleanest water possible to our residents. So I'm disappointed it doesn't speak to what I thought was the main issue. So let me get all my comments out. The second thing is, I'll just state for the record, and I said this last time this came up, I am very lukewarm on the Brinkley bill. I view it as a very development-friendly bill. I know there are different opinions about that. I know part of the scheme of the Brinkley bill was to prevent suburban sprawl, but it's also a mechanism to allow more growth within an urban area. And so I'm not a fan of the overall logic of this. The memo in the discussion section, the first through third line, says something about we have ample pumping and treatment capacity and sustainable groundwater capability. Then it says that we do not have the land recharge. I don't get how you can have sustainable groundwater capability if you don't have the land recharge. Another key question is, what is the probability? You mentioned something about favorable. What is the probability that we are indeed going to get this recharge credit approved by MDE? And I guess part of that is, what's the history of how the Brinkley bill has been used, and how many times have they granted this type of I'll call it a waiver? Because I'd like to know, is it a 50% chance we're going to get this, a 20% chance? What did they communicate to us in those conversations? Because if we don't get the extra recharge, then that's telling me we're going to have to start exploring for additional well capacity. And then the last point I'll make, and it kind of bleeds over to the next agenda item, but it's a general comment. And there have been some previous water-related ordinances and such that have came before the council, and I've been disappointed that they have not been vetted through the Water and Sewer Commission. And I think this, as an example, should be going through Water and Sewer. The next item on the agenda should be going through Water and Sewer. If you read the charter for the Water and Sewer Commission, and I'm not going to do it now, but I have it in front of me, water capacity allocation, all of these topics are also under the pure purview of Water and Sewer Commission, where the commission's supposed to be working jointly with town staff. So I'm just a big fan of more communication, more people looking at an issue and making recommendations so that the best recommendation possible comes to me as a council member to make a judgment. So I want to encourage water and sewer issues like this, please route them through the Water and Sewer Commission. I've seen that that's not happening. So those are all my comments, and if you have any answers, I'd love to hear them. Thank you.
Okay, so PFAS is not a reason allowed by Brinkley bill. It's what is your, you can't annex something and ask for extra water. There's certain things that are not, don't qualify for the Brinkley bill. What does qualify is if you have expansion of your commercial industrial and you are running low, then that's the time to ask for it, and that's where we're headed. So PFAS is, purposely not part of this. It just so happens that PFAS is happening currently, and well 9 is where we know that we have additional capacity. The reason is we're running that a lot more than our daily average that we're allowed to, exceeding what we're asking for right now. So we're still running it higher than that. That's part of why we know that. We also did testing back about 20 years ago, doing the exact same pump tests and running it at a much higher rate and stuff. Might have been 15 years ago. But that was when we were under consent order. That is, and it's a reason why that one, a well allocation appropriation has two parts. It has a daily average, which is the entire 365 days divided by 365, how much you use, and what you're allowed to use. And then it also has a max month. So it takes that 1 month, divides it by the 30 or 31 days. Our max month, unusual compared to the other ones, we more than double what's on the max month because they know we have the capacity to do that and run it maybe a few months in a row at max capacity. So we know we have the sustainable use of that well. That includes pumping out of the ground, that includes treatment, that includes distribution, everything is included in that. So that's why we say it is sustainable. When we were under consent order, when I first started here 19 years ago, we spent close to $500,000 searching for water. I know you can spend a lot of money trying to find what you're looking for. We know a couple places that water is already available. Some places we've already tested. This one in particular, we don't even have to add any extra costs as far as capital costs. So not only do you find it, if we did find something with that $500,000, we would have to spend, $1 million for a treatment plant, depending on where it's located, more for pipelines, those kind of things. So this is what I would call a no-brainer to try to achieve right now while we're in this position. We're using well 9 more now, but that's just a coincidence with the PFAS. Okay. The PFAS will correct itself because we're going to treat it within a couple years, and then once we get there, then that becomes a non-issue. So that's just a short-term thing that's happening right now. I don't know if I answered everything.
What's the likelihood, talking to MDE, that this is going to get approved by them?
Yeah, likelihood, again, they sent a letter back, they sent a memo back to our consultant and to the town that, which shows that it's very favorable. The report showed it was very favorable. There is actually a lot more out there that we could potentially ask for, more than the 50,000 gallons a day. 50,000 is what we asked for. So it shows that in that same watershed, there's potential for more. And that's part of the reason why we're saying this is very likely. It's we're only asking for a fraction of that amount. I think the report shows on the order of 400,000 might be available that the town could ask for.
Okay. Can I have just real quick other point, and that is I'm in sync with the citizen concerns. I want to make sure that we get this added capacity. I don't want it somehow drifting into supporting the Mount Airy crossing. It needs to be put into the reserves category, and then, you know, I'll have a role in determining what category it eventually goes to. But I don't want to see that happen either. So, all right, thank you.
I'll go ahead real quick. So when we first brought this to the table for phase one, we knew that it was a crapshoot with that 45,000 initial. We already had the 100,000 in the budget. We weren't stretching any money thin. And to spend $100,000 to get an additional 50,000 is a very good return on investment for the town. If you remember, the way that the agenda was set up that meeting, we wanted to ensure that this water could not possibly drift into new development hands. Therefore, we redid the priority zones, removing MXD and MXUCC from the priority zones, allowing only DTZ and community commercial. If that did not pass, it would have changed my vote on this initial Brinkley bill request. So we've already passed the ordinances that will protect the new water that we are investing in going into new development. It will only go into infill, things like the car wash and stuff that's already been approved even before this council was here. So we do have control over where this water will go fully. If we did not, it would have absolutely changed my vote. The return on investment, again, for the amount of water we're getting, for the amount of money we're spending, is good. And if we end up needing it in the future, you know, it's there. But moving forward, does anyone have any other questions, concerns?
No real questions or concerns, Council President. Just want to echo what you just said about and thank you for the history lesson of the, I forgot we did the MXD, the changes and things of that nature. I think I caught those and mentioned those to Barney. But no, as you indicated also, once whatever amount is approved by MDE, it goes into reserve, and then it's allocated into different categories. I believe if I'm understanding the process correctly, the Ward and Sewer Commission does look over those allocations too. Then we as a council have final say on those allocations, and we can move them around too at the end of the day. So the 50,000 gallons or whatever is approved is not going to automatically drift into any type of development. Also, the code requires also that they bring it, or any development needs to bring their water amount or the amount of water that they are proposing to use into the town system. So I'm happy with this, as the council president and Councilman DeMotor has mentioned the reasons why.
Any other questions, concerns, or comment?
Quick comment. Yeah, I just want to say, hopefully that answers the question that was brought up during public comment. So another question, but I guess that's up to the council president. So.
The initial question during public comment that I knew I already had it written down, just to reiterate, there is no chance that the $50,000 gallons that we are investing $100,000 in to buffer the current citizens of this community will go into new development. I cannot be more clear than that. It won't happen.
We have another serious concern.
That will, yeah, if you can, just email and we can go there.
Just got one more question for the town engineer.
Absolutely.
I want to say on well 9, we are currently pumping at over the permitted rate due to, are we about ready to hit the wall on that? On any extra allocation? So this 50,000 gallons could potentially even be beneficial to current usage if we hit that wall with the state.
Sure. The good thing is we started in a new year.
Okay. Gotcha.
We're starting over.
All right.
All right, do we have any more questions or comments? All right, hearing none, we have a motion. It's been seconded. All in favor of approving engineer services for well non-appropriation calculations of Phase 2 in the amount of $65,000, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you, Barney. All right, next up on new business is the Carroll County Water and Sewer Master Plan Amendment Request. I have here to relinquish to Mayor Hushhour for an explanation.
Yeah, appreciate that. So the way this came about is this is the first step in the process to, in working with the Maryland Department of Environment to foster a relationship that gets us our forgivable loan appropriation that will help us remediate the PFAS within the town at the town's pumping stations. We attended a meeting with the MD, myself, the staff, council president, down in Baltimore at the Maryland Department of Environment, talking about a situation that they are trying to fix, which is the Mount Airy Trailer Park. The trailer park is in a situation where they have high PFAS levels and other issues that I won't fully discuss, but the bottom line is the MDE feels it's very important that they get clean water. They sent a request to the town requesting that we allow for that hookup into the trailer park for the 20 trailer homes that are down there. As a result of that, and we made it very plain at the meeting with the MDE, we will not provide contaminated water to the trailer park. So if our water is not clean, we're not going to let this happen, okay? But the first step in this process is to get modify the county's water and sewer master plan, and that's what this letter is about. And I understand that there's a redraft of it that's been presented to the town council. The staff has looked at that redraft, and if you want to bring that up and utilize that letter, myself and the staff would be okay with that. But that's where we're at, and that's the reason why we're talking about the trailer park. We consider it an opportunity for us to perhaps get priority funding for PFAS remediation within the town. Barney, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't think so. I can answer questions, but.
Okay, so if you have questions at this point, it's.
May I ask a question? Do we need a motion?
Why don't we go into motion?
Okay.
Then we'll go into discussion.
I make a motion for approval. I guess that's the right correct motion or discussion? What's that? Oh, excuse me. Make a motion for approval of the request for Mount Airy Water and Sewer Plan Amendment to adjust and request to make the commissioners aware that we want to bring in the 20 mobile home park called Twin Arch Mobile Home Park.
So you're making a motion for us to approve the letter that the mayor wrote?
Oh. Okay, let me.
We'll make a motion to approve the Carroll County Water and Sewer Master Plan Amendment request.
Correct. Thank you.
And then do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. And then we're on to discussion. So I'll start with discussion if you guys don't mind. I did attend this meeting. And yes, the MDE is asking us for a lot. And to be bluntly honest, I'm not jumping on board to do it unless we get something in return. The days of Mount Airy doing things and not getting anything in return are over as far as I'm concerned. So in order for us to take care of or help people outside of our town, we have to make sure that the people inside of our town are taken care of. And so for that, unless our water is completely clean and all 4 pumping stations are fully filtered and processed with PFAS, to me, this is a no-go. So there was an original letter in all of our packets that was drafted by town staff. I did not personally think it depicted the feelings, at least of myself or the council. So the letter was redrafted by myself and Councilmember Demoter You've all had copies. I would advise that we use the redrafted letter when sending this to the Carroll County Commissioners. Is everyone on board with that? We don't need a vote for that, do we?
Well, that would be an amendment to the original motion, I would think, so.
Right, it would be the motion, it would be an amendment to accept, like the mayor said, he would be okay with the revised letter that was rewritten.
Yep.
It would be an amendment to accept the master plan amendment request with the revised letter going with it.
So then I will make that amendment to accept the request with the revised letter going to the county commissioners.
Or does it need
Should
to
we
be?
continue?
He
with discussion?
seconded, so now that, so where we're at now is we have the motion to go ahead and approve the request with the new letter.
But we can continue discussion.
Now we can continue discussing.
There's two parts. There's the letter, and then there's the actual rewording within the water and sewer plan.
Okay,
So, Council President, or
go ahead.
are you done? So I have similar thoughts along Council President Washabaugh's lines. I want to jump right to the, if you look at the water and sewer plan, page 58, it's the attachment to the memo. And you go down to the third paragraph and you'll see in italics and underlining the new language that was proposed to be approved this evening. And that says, the Twin Arch Mobile Home Park on Mathis Lane has similar high levels of PFAS, and although not in town limits, should be connected to the town of Mount Airy's water system per MDE's request. And I guess I have an issue with this because I think we ought to just be, just the facts, ma'am. Let's just speak to the facts. You've got wording in here that says, should be connected to the town of Mount Airy. And I guess my question is, who's making that judgment? Is the Carroll County Commissioners as part of us changing the water and sewer plan? Is that implying that they think it should be? This also implies the town council thinks it should be. I'm not here to say it should or shouldn't. I think we just need to say, stick to the facts and say that MDE has requested this action. So I'm going to propose a rewording of that sentence as an amendment to this package, and let me read that out. And again, it just speaks to the facts. The Maryland Department of the Environment determined that the Twin Arch Mobile Home Park on Mathis Lane, located outside of town limits, has high levels of PFAS and has requested that it be connected to the town of Mount Airy's water system. That is a factual statement. That, to me, is what we should be putting into the water and sewer plan. And let me express my thoughts similar but a little differently than Council President. I mean, we are public servants. We are public servants of the town of Mount Airy. More broadly, we are public servants of our fellow countyans and within the state of Maryland, and I wish for health and safety and security for everyone. However, we first need to get our own house in order if we're able to then help others. And so, as the mayor said, we don't want to be providing contaminated water to the mobile home park, and until our complete water system is treated, only then will we have made ourselves whole for our citizens, and only then will we know it's water that's clean enough per safe levels, per new standards that are going to be promulgated, that it's safe for anyone else as well. So for that reason, I think we should stick to the facts. In helping Council President redraft this letter, we've done similar things to the language. We just state the facts. We say that we're open to considering working with them to make this happen with a certain number of considerations that we have to see in order for us to support it. And then lastly, here we are as a town. We have PFAS in our own water. We're searching for new water supplies to help us ameliorate perhaps water shortages and clean water shortages. We're also spending some of our own money, as we just talked about, on the Brinkley bill and doing the calculations to try and get that extra water recharge. So there's a lot that goes into this cost-wise that we are footing the bill for. And I think, it would be helpful if MDE could help us in terms of getting our treatment systems funded for our entire water system. And then only then would we be in a position to provide clean water. And then the last point is, you're doing a little bit of precedent setting here, because if we go ahead and provide this water to this set of homes outside of town limits, now what happens if a Dorsey town or other homes on the perimeter of the town of Mount Airy say, I've got high PFAS levels in my water, I need some assistance. So you've got all that interplay as well. So I hope that story is woven together in a way that supports my rewording of the sentence that should be in the water and sewer master plan amendment. Thank you.
Can you reread the wording? Because I believe I don't like, because since there's no really state standards yet for PFAS, we're all going on what federal and state has recommended. Instead of saying MDE has determined, we could put something on state testing or testing required. Testing has determined to be, the levels of the wells to be having high PFAS. That way you're not really saying there's a state mandate or a state test. I want a limit in effect that when they were done. I get what you're saying, but yeah.
Council President, could I respond? So there's two things going on.
Yeah.
I think to answer your concerns, we address that in the revised transmittal letter, because in that we've added language that says, the town of Mount Airy is open to consideration of MDE's request contingent upon, among other things, receiving the remaining state funds necessary to fully treat the town's water system to achieve compliance with final federal and state PFAS public drinking water regulations. So we kind of speak to that in the letter. If you look at the water and sewer plan, look at the one sentence that was proposed in here. That says nothing about MDE sampling and what they found or anything like that. I think you want to be short and sweet. What's here right now says similar high levels of PFAS, and my rewording it just says high levels of PFAS. So I don't think we should get into putting too much in there. I just think we should say MDE determined, we don't have to say how they determined, but they determined that these homes on Mathis Lane have high levels of PFAS, and they want that system connected to the town. And that's all we need to say.
I would just say leave MDE out of it and just put the high level, Mathis Lane, whatever, has high levels of PFAS in the water, and MDE has requests, because I think Tom can pretty much say, this is the starting point. We just can't, to address one of your other points, if somebody else has high PFAS or some other contamination, they can come to the town and we can flat out deny them. It needs to be at MDE's request before we can even consider it, it's particularly if they're out of town. Is that a fair assessment of the code?
Yeah, I'd go a little further and say that our code says that it's when the MDE orders the town to extend its water system beyond its borders.
Yeah.
Can we do that? And now, what'll probably happen, as happened once before years ago on one house.
Yeah.
The MDE sort of issued a friendly order. We reviewed it, accepted the terms of it, and so the MDE issued the order to comply with our code, and hence, not at our expense, but at the expense of those to whom we were extending. The water was extended, and that's what I would anticipate would happen here.
Yeah. I would just like to say, like, similar high levels, not at MDE's determination, because it's just a test that they conducted. There are no hard standards set in code, either state or federal level yet. So I would not look favorable on that specific request with the MDE wording added to it. I would just like to see something with high levels in there, or leave it as is, because it is per MDE's request.
Yeah, if I may, first of all, I'm okay with the MDE being included in that sentence. My question for town staff, if Councilmember Demoter needs to read it again, that'd be fine. As I heard his rewrite of it, I don't think that would stop, would significantly change what we're trying to do. Would you like to hear it again, or do you have an opinion, Barney?
So maybe add something. Basically, you're saying it without putting it on the paper, and obviously I didn't put it on the paper, is if and when MDE demands that we connect them, then we would consider that on the condition that our water is taken care of as well. Something on that order.
Yeah.
Maybe state it in that manner.
May I comment? So obviously, I kind of like what we've done, which is you've got a transmittal memo that's much cleaner now and factually correct now to me, that's getting attached to this. So we have a record of what we're comfortable with, what we want to see happen, et cetera. We want to see the water treated. We want the ability to treat our water to whatever final standards are promulgated. That's all in the cover letter. So there's a lot of language there in the cover letter. I wouldn't muddy up this water and sewer strategic plan by putting a whole paragraph like that in here. Because you've got that covered in this document, let me read again what I had proposed. The Maryland Department of Environment determined that the Twin Arch Mobile Home Park on Mathis Lane, located outside of town limits, has high levels of PFAS and has requested that it be connected to the town of Mount Airy's water system. That is a statement of fact. We're not judging that it's going to get done, not going to get done. We're not giving a full-throated endorsement or non-endorsement. Those parameters are captured in the cover memo. So this keeps this a one-sentence, clean sentence, similar to the one sentence that was proposed here in italics. I just don't like us saying it should be connected. We haven't determined that. So I want to go ahead and make a motion.
Can we hear what, Barney, it sounded like you had some feedback on that?
I was just going to say the intent of saying should be connected was to the town's matters per MD's request. MDE said they should be connected. That was the intent of that portion of the sentence.
Do you feel like his rewrite would prevent us or changes significantly what we're trying to do?
I mean, it's all accurate. It's just, is it enough for MDE to see a difference? What they need to see this in the water sewer master plan in order for us to get
right
funding for that portion, which we think should happen, working together through engineering.
So what's the deadline, and I'm not forgetting you, we'll get back to you. What's the deadline for applying for the forgivable loan with the MDE?
It's end of the month, it's somewhere around the 29th or
January.
January
Correct.
this month. Yeah.
So if we don't get this through this evening.
What they did say is they then have a couple months to review what Carroll County will approve. So if Carroll County can get it approved maybe in February, then that can be considered.
Okay.
We put it in the application for January, and then, so it sounded like maybe into March, but
okay,
didn't sound like much further than that.
All right.
How about this? I'd be willing to make this one word change that should. So my proposal says MDE, da-da-da-da-da, and has requested that it be connected to the town of Mount Airy's water system. How about if we say, and has suggested or has recommended? That shows that's their judgment, not ours. I'm willing to make that kind of a change instead of just say they requested it. They actually, it's almost saying the same thing. It's giving a little more strength to the fact that they want to see it happen. So I'd be willing to change the word requested to recommended. I don't like the other wording because it implies we're making the judgment that it should be connected.
I mean, at MDE's request is fine with me because it does show that they are requesting it. Code has already indicated that, basically is indicated that no one outside of town limits can be connected unless requested or ordered by a state agency or another outside agency. So there's no real need to change it. MDE's request kind of, to me, states that they are making it, they've determined, and by our code, we can't just say, oh, they have a high PFAS level, we need to connect it. It's got to be at an outside request. And we do have the authority to deny them as of now anyway, without the request. So it's just, I don't see the needing for the word change.
Council President, may I then?
One more time, then we'll
When I see if I get the wording right. I make a motion to approve the transmittal letter, the amended transmittal letter to the Carroll County Commissioners, and an amended water and sewer plan with the following language change. And I can hand this down to whoever needs it. The Maryland Department of the Environment determined that the Twin Arch Mobile Home Park on Mathis Lane, located outside of town limits, has high levels of PFAS and has requested that it be connected to the town of Mount Airy's water system, period. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we have a amendment, and we have a second. We've already had our discussion, so.
So I think that the proper process is you had a motion previously, I believe. So the original movement has to accept the amendment, then there has to be a second of that. And then basically the original motion is still on the table. It's not a new motion. It's just that the original motion has been amended with essentially the permission of the original movement, who I think was Carl.
Okay. I do not accept the amendment.
Okay. So then we're back to the original Carl's amendment for the revised letter as stated. Correct?
Yeah, I think so, yes.
All right.
So now we're just working off of the memo first.
Yes, that's where we're at.
Okay.
All right, so we had our discussion. All in favor of accepting and requesting Carroll County's Water and Sewer Master Plan be amended with the revised letter as we all have in front of us, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, a question. Is that leaving the language in the, currently as added to the water and sewer plan?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We'll do it one more time. All in favor of accepting the Carroll County Water and Sewer Master Plan Amendment request, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Sorry for making that so difficult, Barney.
Yeah, it was a good discussion,
Yeah.
so I have no problem with.
So just to understand, so the water and sewer plan will have the words "should be connected" in it. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
Nothing, just to be clear, this is not, we don't want to help anybody,
Yeah.
but we just have to solve our issue before There's no point in giving somebody else contaminated water that already has contaminated water. That's all. All right, moving on, thankfully, to ordinances and resolutions. Or wait, where's our,
Commission appointments, right?
yes,
Theodore's sat out there this
there
whole
we go.
time.
Commission appointments and
Gotta get him in.
I had checked it off early, I'm sorry. Commission appointments and reappointments, I'll relinquish to Mayor Hushhour.
Okay, I am making the following recommendations for commission appointments and reappointments at this January Town Council meeting. For appointments, we'll go one at a time. Pete Meheridis to be appointed to the Economic Development Commission.
All right, I will make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, I didn't get it out quick enough, sorry. Aye, all ayes.
We're all
Oh,
eyes.
okay.
All eyes are on Lynn now.
I know, right? Well, I knew she was going to be like, what's your answer?
All right.
Aye.
Secondly, Theodore Stathis, appointed to the Streets and Roads Commission. Yeah.
Thank you. I will make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, or any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We'll see you at the next Streets
Thank
and
you very
Roads
much.
Commission.
May I say something?
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, honorable council members, and members of the audience, I want to tell you that I am honored to accept this appointment to the Streets and Roads Commission. It's something that touches every one of us more than once a day. And I will pledge to conduct myself professionally and honorably, reflecting the values of this town in which I have lived for 41 years. And I also pledge to conduct my duties with the utmost urgency and expediency. In closing, I want to say that as far as I can determine, this is the first time a son of a Greek immigrant is serving in some capacity in Mount Airy. I've read a little bit of the history of Mount Airy, and I am proud of that. So thank you for the appointment. And also on the lighter side, I guess the mayor was desperate when I showed up at the last meeting of the Streets and Roads, because he and I share a common occupation. For me, it's mostly a hobby, although I did work in it for a while. For him, it's a job. I'm an FAA licensed pilot. So I will leave you with this thought. Mount Airy will be soaring to the skies.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And we'll try not to talk too much pilot stuff at the meetings. So, reappointment, Doris Welcher to be reappointed to the Beautification Commission.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Doris to the Beautification Commission.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, thank you. And now we will move on to ordinances and resolutions. We have one on the agenda for tonight. This is Charter Amendment Resolution 2024-1, proposing change to the charter so council president does not have a vote on council while serving as acting mayor, for introduction and setting of a public hearing. I will make a motion to introduce. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we are now looking to schedule a public hearing. Is everybody okay with Monday, February 5th, which is our February meeting at 7:15?
Yeah, should be. I mean, do we think just going through the charter amendments in the past, do you think 15 minutes is enough for this? Or should we do 7? Or can we make it as good, 7:15? Okay.
Go with 7:15.
Okay. Oh, because the meeting's late this month.
Sorry, because we are a week late.
Yeah.
Charter amendment is.
Yeah. Everybody good with that? All right, so we'll set a public hearing for Charter Amendment Resolution 2024-1 for February 5th at 7:15 PM. We do not have any unfinished business. I know we have a possible closed meeting. Is that going to happen? Okay, so we will roll call out into closed session under statutory authority, general provisions, Article 3-305B, subset 3, to consider the acquisition of real property for a public purpose and matters directly thereto, land acquisition. We will roll call out into closed session. At the conclusion of that, this meeting will be adjourned. Councilmember Evans.
Aye.
Councilmember Munder.
Aye.
Council Secretary Galletti.
Aye.
Councilmember Demoter.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. And we will now move into closed session. Thank you.